in your life and in the lives of other people by sharing the word, it'll pay back in spades. And so dig this. He made 1,000% increase. That made the man happy. The first one said, Lord, thy pound hath gained 10 pounds. And he said unto him, well, good job. Well, thou good servant, because thou hast been faithful in very little, have authority over 10 cities. Do you see the reward for the faithfulness far exceeds the return to the king? And our inheritance as faithful followers is infinitely more valuable than anything we can earn on our own on this earth. Hey, man, I got you 10 pounds. Really, 10 pounds? All right. You are now in charge of Georgia. I mean, cool, right? And then the other one came and said, Lord, I've gotten you 5 pounds. And he says, well done, thou good servant. You are now set over 5 cities. Cool. So you did really good. You got the city of Atlanta. I mean, you see how the reward is so disproportionately good compared to what the servant actually earned him? I mean, it's kind of cool. And another came saying, this is verse 20, Lord, behold, here is your pound, which I kept laid up in a napkin, for I feared thee, because thou art an austere man. Thou takest up, and thou layest down, and repeatest that thou dost not sow, and reapest what thou dost not sow. So this dude is actually kind of impugning the character. He says, like, hey, here's your money back. I didn't do anything with it because you're a pretty fearful man. And if I had lost something, it would have been bad news for me. In other words, he's blaming the master. And the master saith unto him, out of thine own mouth will I judge thee, thou wicked servant. Thou knewest I was an austere man, taking up that I laid not down, reaping what I did not sow. Wherefore thou givest not thou my money into the bank? You didn't even put my money into the bank that might come, and I might have required mine own with usury, which is interest. And what he said there, I mean, essentially, kids, is that you could, you didn't work the market. The least you could have done was put it in the bank and get me a small chunk of interest there, but you didn't do it. I mean, this is wrong, and it's in complete defiance of the king's order. So he orders that the pound be taken away. And then it says, and he said unto them that stood by, take from him the pound. This is the other servants. Take from him the pound, give it to him that hath the 10 pounds. And they said unto him, Lord, he hath 10 pounds. Why do you want to make it 11? Well, probably because he could take 11 and make 100 out of it. I mean, this guy's working it, man. For I say unto you that every one which hath shall be given, and from him that hath not, even that he hath shall be taken away from him. But those are, For I say unto you that unto every one which hath shall be given, and from every one that hath not, even that he hath shall be taken away from him. What he has will be taken away from him. Okay. But those mine enemies, which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither and slay them before me. This is kind of important. There are 2 classes of people here. You got the servant, and you got the enemies. You got the servant, and you got the enemy. Okay, let's talk about the servants. You've got 2 classes of servants. You have the productive, and you have the unproductive. You got the productive, and you got the unproductive. The productive people get rewarded for their faithfulness. The unproductive people do not get rewarded for their faithfulness, their lack of faithfulness. They don't get anything. Follow me? Now, those were 2 classes of servants. You also had the enemy. The enemy gets slain. And that word in Hebrew is a pretty violent word. Chopped up, minced up, dashed to pieces, smashed with a rod of iron. You get the picture. Let me be very clear. There is a hell. People are going to be in hell. And those are the people that are the enemies of God. But there are two classes of servants. There is the productive servant and there is the unproductive servant. Just because you haven't been productive in your life means that you're an enemy of God. This is the word of Jesus. Occupy till I come. Engage in business till I come. Brothers and sisters, the natural response is, man, have I done enough? Have I done enough? Have I done enough? I want to assure you, this is not a sermon to scare anybody, and it wasn't a parable that Jesus used to scare people. It is a parable of encouragement because don't you want rewards? Don't you want to do something for the man who in just a few short days is about to die for you? And today, you know that he's died for you. You know that he's risen again. Don't be an unproductive servant because Jesus did leave us a mission. And it's very similar to what the Apostle Paul wrote about in 1 Corinthians 3. 1 Corinthians 3, he's talking not about the enemies, but he's talking about the servants. And this is what he says. If what he has built survives, because he's talking about gold, silver, and precious stones. If what he built survives, that person that built it, he's going to receive his reward. If it is burned up, he shall suffer loss. He himself will be saved. You know, you can build your house because the scriptures say there's two ways. You can build your house on the rock. You can build it on the sand. You can take the broad way that leads to destruction. You can take the narrow road that leads to life. There's the good tree, and then there's the bad tree. There's no third tree, no third way, no third house. You've got a binary choice, servant. You can be productive or you can be unproductive. If you're productive, there are rewards. If you are unproductive, just like Paul says, you will suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved. Man, I want that reward. And I want to thank God that even if I am unproductive at times, and even if I'm unproductive, that I still get to be in heaven with him. Because my going to heaven was by a choice that was made before the foundation of the world. Ephesians 1:3, according to he has chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love. It is not based on my works, thoughts, or acceptance. It's based on the sacrifice of Jesus Christ being imputed to me because I wasn't worthy. I wasn't capable. I was spiritually dead until the Holy Spirit came in me and came in you and caused life in you. And now if you are productive, that conduit to the Spirit will open wider and wider and wider, and your life will know the presence and the peace of God in more and more abundant ways. So maybe right now you're beating yourself up, and I just want to close with this. Maybe today some of you have been unprofitable. That's okay. The beautiful thing about grace is that you can change your life at any moment. And I'll kind of give you a picture of this. Years ago, and I've told this story before. Years ago, I was in another part of the country, and I had a rental car to get to the place that I needed to get to. And they offered me as a free upgrade the little GPS navigation system. It's like, yeah, I'll do that. And so I hop in the car, and I'm driving along, and it's always quite an amazing thing. I love those things, and this one had the British lady voice in there. And I like that because if you're British, you sound smarter. And honestly, if you're a woman, you sound smarter. I mean, it's just facts are facts. So, and here's the deal. If I had trusted the GPS, I pretty sure I would have gotten there exactly right. But there came a certain point where the highway sign seemed to indicate differently than what the voice was saying, so I trusted in the highway sign. And you know what happens at that moment? The voice comes on over, and it says, when safe, execute a U-turn. And it gets me back on the path. Life with Emmanuel, God with us, life with Jesus is so very similar to that. When you take a wrong turn, when you're in a period of your life where you're very unprofitable, the Spirit comes, the voice comes, and it says, "You idiot." It doesn't. The Spirit will tell you without a single judgmental note to it, when safe, execute a U-turn. Let's get back on the right path. That's the grace that God gives us every day because of Jesus Christ. I want to serve Him, and I want to be profitable, and I'm elected unto obedience. I'm going to start being obedient today. And if I mess up tonight, I'm going to wake up Monday and I'm going to start being obedient. And if I mess up Monday, I'm going to wake up Tuesday and I'm going to start being obedient again. And I'm going to occupy. Why don't you do that too? If you'd like to walk with us here at Camp Creek Church as we serve the